You know, I've played games for a long time. Magic the Gathering, I've played for probably close to 25 years. I've played tabletop stuff, I've played video games. I understand games. I understand the rules of board games like Parcheesi and Sorry, all the way down to Lords of Waterdeep and Twilight Imperium. I understand video games, from simple things like Minesweeper to more complex stuff like Skyrim. I get games. I understand Dungeons and Dragons. I understand rolling dice. But there is something about miniatures, tabletop wargaming, from X-Wing to Warhammer, that I just don't seem to understand. And I definitely didn't understand it when I got started. So I want to talk about it. If that sounds interesting to you, pull up a chair, have a seat at the table. And whether you're a button mash hack and slash controller bash or a meeple moving mastermind of maps, mats, and minis, if you ruffle at the awful riffle shuffle scuffle, or if you're a click clack pick attack number ball luck sack, we're all here for the same reason. I'm Jake. Let's talk games. So about a year and a half ago, my wife and I went on a date, and we decided we were going to do just a casual, grab a bite to eat, maybe go see a movie, and then play some Magic in the park. And so we drove down to this cute little downtown area, kind of an old town thing, and we went to a taco shop. And I noticed that one of their specials was a taco, and I don't remember the exact name of it, but it was something like the Blood for the Blood God taco. And I thought that was funny. You know, I've heard that before. That's a Warhammer thing. And Warhammer is something that I only know tangentially. No one I really know plays it. My only experience with it was a couple friends in high school had a big, Pelican case, each of them, with a big foam block in it in their army. And I remember them saying that they had close to $700 worth of miniatures in there. And that just seemed absurd to me. Obviously, given the amount of money that I've spent on Magic over the years. But I noticed that this Blood for the Blood God taco, or whatever it was called, had a little blurb underneath that said that this was in partnership with the Warhammer Cafe. You know, that struck my interest. And so I looked it up and saw that it was only half a block away. So after finishing lunch, we walked over to the Warhammer Cafe. Grabbed a coffee, took a look around, and the people there were just wonderful. Really nice, really welcoming, really eager to kind of explain how the game works to people with zero experience, like my wife and I. And we saw a couple signs up there that said, free miniature. You can come in, they do a little paint tutorial, you get a dude, you can take it home. And that sounded like a really cool activity for my son and I. So a couple weeks later, we went down with my son. He got a little intercessor dude. We painted it up together, and he got to take it home with him. And he was really, really excited about that. It seemed like a good opportunity to kind of try it out. So we picked up the Recruit Edition. That's the smallest starter set. And it came with a handful of Assault Intercessors, a Lieutenant, some Necrons, and this piece of terrain, right, for the tutorial games. And so we got an opportunity to kind of roll some dice, give it a shot, see if we liked it. And it seemed really fun. It's right up our alley. It's something that the kids can kind of understand, wrap their head around. So we decided to kind of move into Kill Team, where it's a little more manageable. You have 6 to 10 things on the board at a time. You can kind of keep track of it. We printed up some data cards, so each one has its own card, and that makes it really easy to track. And we got to playing the game, and we've had a lot of fun with it. It kind of introduced us to the hobby. We really like painting and modeling and kind of the artistic aspect of that. And I remember talking to my wife saying that I was not going to get too into this game, that we were going to start small, kind of keep it small and measured, play some Kill Team and that kind of thing. And then gradually over time, I started kind of fleshing that out. It's something that is an activity we can do together and something that we all really legitimately enjoy. But something I've noticed about these miniatures games is how different they function from trading card games, which is kind of where my experience largely lies. So looking at this table filled with miniatures and all of the rules that you need to keep track of that are not directly attached to the physical game pieces. The way that they balance points, the way that they balance abilities, is all extremely alien to me. Now, I want to walk through a few things that I wish I had known, moving from playing Magic the Gathering to playing something like Warhammer. Now, before I played Warhammer, the first tabletop game that I ever played was the X-Wing miniatures game. I had a friend that bought the starter set when it first came out, maybe 2 weeks after it debuted at Gen Con. He found a copy of it. And so we played a couple games, and I think it was about a year and a half before we even opened that box again. And at that point, the game was reasonably widespread. I remember playing at tournaments at the local game stores around here, and we played hours and hours of this game. And something that I really appreciated is when you buy a ship, it comes with a card that has all that ship's abilities. It has the point value of the ship. It comes with all the upgrade cards and the point values of those upgrades. And sometimes you had to buy a ship you weren't planning on using because you needed the upgrade card for it. Auto thrusters is a good example of that. But to me, it felt grounded. It felt like a trading card game. I have these physical pieces that I can assemble into a deck. Maybe not a shuffleable stack of cards, but an array, a tableau of cards and ships that you can bring to every game. There were some tokens you needed. There was a couple things you needed to put in play, some asteroids and debris fields and whatever. And then you could just play the game. But you had your collection of things. The rules never changed. As they released new ships, I'm holding this as an illustration of a ship that was completely broken. Unbelievably powerful, extremely unique abilities on the ships. The one that really started to stand out was a combination of two of these, where one ship could build up an immense amount of stress, and the other ship would still give it green tokens, which were kind of a slight bonus in combat. And so no matter how stressed out that ship was, how many red maneuvers you took, however many, or I guess it wasn't red maneuvers, it was Zuckuss, which was one of the crew on it. But you could continue to take white maneuvers or green maneuvers, and you never cleared your stress, and it didn't matter. The game started to spiral out of control, and so you start to see the cracks showing. And some of those cracks couldn't be fixed by just printing more cards. Right? In games like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon, you're restricted by a format in some games, so you can only use things that come out in certain time periods, or maybe there's a ban list of things that you can't use anymore, or maybe they just print new cards that invalidate the old cards. All of a sudden you have a ship that deals damage equal to the number of stress on an enemy ship. Well, shoot, you one-shot it turn 2 or turn 3. I think there's a variety of ways of handling that. But in the tabletop gaming sphere, it seems like the fix that is generally employed is a rules reset. They go back, they take the core rules, they do a mass revision, and whether that is a streamlining of the game or adding granularity or changing the way point values work or changing the way abilities work, they release a new wholesale set of rules. And in a game like X-Wing, wholesale set of cards, upgrades, and other tokens and things. And then everyone just adopts the newest version of the game. All the tournaments shift over, and you have to rebuy a whole bunch of product that you already own. And as someone who plays Magic, and specifically someone who plays a lot of tabletop and EDH and kind of formats that aren't so restricted by format, this felt awful, right? I have the Scum and Villainy 2.0 revision box, and so I have enough that I can play the game, but I have to admit that my interest fell off a cliff after that rules change. I did not understand that aspect of tabletop gaming. And so when I got into Warhammer, I was a little cautious because I knew that those rules changes were on the horizon. So because of that, I own 0 of the rule books from 9th edition. I don't own any data cards. I don't own any, core rule books or codexes or anything. Now, 10th edition, a lot of the stuff is released online, and so at least kind of the skeleton, it's enough that you can play, and for someone who plays Death Guard, like myself, it's all I'm going to have for a while. So I don't have to buy into 10th edition at any grand scale. But I think that was a real shift in my mind, because the power creep doesn't necessarily come from the units. Sometimes you get new units out, but a lot of times you'll have something that is, little changes that affect the game in big ways, where a unit that maybe wasn't useful before becomes something that's a must include. I'm holding a Blight Hauler. That's not necessarily a must include, but to me, I think they are extremely versatile, and in 10th edition, every list that I've played includes one. Alternatively, sometimes you have really cool units that have kind of fallen by the wayside. This bad boy is now a legend, which in Warhammer is a bad thing. It means that you can't actually use them in tournaments. Even though I bought this just a few months ago. No longer usable in 10th edition. But that doesn't happen so often. Doesn't happen nearly as often as entire sets of hundreds of cards rotating out of standard. So to keep up with the game, it's actually not as expensive as Magic most of the time. So yeah, as they release new rules and new units, and some things become obsolete, there's always new ways to play, new teams and new strategies. And I just think it's really cool that no matter what changes, you can always just sit down with a friend and play some good tabletop games.
Dad, we're playing a game here.
Oh, right. Okay, sure. So I'm going to charge here, and I'm in engagement range, so I'm going to attack. I think I have a 5. What do you have?
7.
7 from what?
Chainsword.
Oh, right. Okay, let's see how this goes. Anyways, it's been nice talking to you. Nice.
Crit.
I got a crit too. That's just an assault intercessor, or just a regular intercessor, I think. He doesn't have grenades or anything. He's just an intercessor warrior. Yeah.
Defense 3.
All right. So my gunner, this is going to be a melta gun. Are you sure you want to do this? I got you. I'm going to roll for it. Oh, I'm hitting you once.
Oh, my turn?
Yep. Yeah, so roll your defense.
You roll.
It's your save. Yeah, so what are you, 3 on a 3 up? It's like 3 plus. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So roll 3 dice. And you save 1. Nothing happens. All right, you tested your luck.
And I won it.
And you won it. All right, cool. So much for that shot.